1000 LB Sisters might look like another reality show about weight loss, but episode 1 makes it very clear almost immediately that this is not really a show about weight. It's a show about survival. And more specifically, it's a show about what happens when two people spend years building a life around habits that are slowly killing them.
Amy.
And I'm Tammy.
And we're the Slaton sisters. You're supposed to do it with me.
Shut up.
Before TLC ever showed up, Amy and Tammy Slaton had already built a name for themselves online. Long before they were reality TV personalities, they were YouTubers. Amy especially had already spent years putting her life on the internet, filming challenges, makeup videos, cheap comedy, whatever got attention. That's important because it explains why 1000 LB Sisters feels different from most TLC shows right away. Amy and Tammy were not discovered as ordinary women struggling in private. They were already internet people. They already understood attention, performance, and what it meant to turn dysfunction into content. And that matters a lot once the show starts. By the time episode 1 begins, Amy is 31, Tammy is 32, and together they weigh over 1,000 pounds. It's a strong hook. It's the entire branding of the show, and TLC knows exactly what they're doing with it. But the number is really the least interesting part. What matters more is how quickly the episode shows that Amy and Tammy may share the same problem, but they are nowhere near the same place in life. Amy is still functional, barely, but functional. She can still move around the house, cook, joke, run errands, and pretend there's still some version of a normal adult life available to her. Tammy is already past that point, and episode 1 does not waste much time making that obvious. The show introduces them in the house Amy shares with her husband Michael, and within minutes the real dynamic becomes painfully clear. Tammy may be Amy's sister, but in practice she has become Amy's responsibility. Amy cooks, Amy cleans, Amy organizes the day, Amy manages the house, and Tammy waits. That imbalance is one of the most important things in the entire series, because it explains almost every fight they will ever have. Amy is not just living with Tammy, Amy is already taking care of her. And the resentment from that arrangement is already quietly forming in episode 1, even when Amy is still trying to frame it as love. Michael is introduced early too, and episode 1 tells you almost everything you need to know about him in about 30 seconds. He is quiet, compliant, and useful. Michael is not framed as a husband so much as he is framed as infrastructure. He cooks, he drives, and most importantly, he physically moves Tammy when no one else can. That ends up becoming his primary function in the family dynamic. He isn't part of the story, he's just the brace keeping the walls from falling. Then the show gets to the food, which is where TLC wisely lets the audience do most of the work. Episode 1 does not need to lecture the viewer about why these women are this size. It simply shows you the grocery haul. Cart full of processed food, snacks, sugar, frozen meals, massive portions. It's not framed like a binge. That's what makes it worse. It's routine. The most unsettling part of episode 1 is not that they eat badly. It's that they eat like this casually. The damage has become so normal that nobody in the room even reacts to it anymore. And that is really the core of the first episode. Not excess. Normalized excess. The sisters explain that they grew up poor, and like a lot of people in these shows, they trace a lot of their eating habits back to childhood. Food was comfortable. Food was coping. Food was available when other things weren't. That explanation makes sense, and it's probably true. But episode 1 also quietly shows the more uncomfortable reality. At some point, coping became identity. By the time we met them, this is no longer just emotional eating. This is lifestyle. Their routines, relationships, and sense of self are all built around accommodating dysfunction. And physically, the consequences are already severe. Both sisters have type 2 diabetes. Both sleep with CPAP machines. Both have a long list of medical complications that are mentioned almost casually, which is another thing the show does well. The medical danger is so constant in their lives that it's discussed like weather. Amy casually admits to drinking up to 16 sodas a day, which sounds absurd until you realize nobody around her reacts like it is. That's the real theme of episode 1. Every red flag in this house has been normalized to the point of invisibility. Amy at least still has a reason to change. Her motivation is simple and clear. She wants a baby. That is probably the single most important difference between the sisters in episode 1. Amy still has a future-oriented goal. It may not be enough, and it may not even be realistic yet, but it exists. Amy wants something on the other side of weight loss. Tammy's motivation is much darker. Tammy says she wants to lose weight because she wants to live. And that sounds serious, because it is serious. But it also says a lot about where she is mentally. Amy wants a different life. Tammy just wants to keep the current one from ending. That difference in motivation is subtle, but it becomes one of the most important fault lines in the entire series. Episode 1 introduces their mother with all the warmth of a tax audit. She is cold, dismissive, skeptical, and immediately critical. And to the show's credit, it doesn't need to over-explain her. It just lets her speak. Amy and Tammy told her they wanted gastric bypass surgery, and her immediate response was that she did not think they would do it. She says they will quit. She says Tammy is a quitter. Because for the first time, the show gives you something bigger than food. After that, the sisters speak with their bariatric doctor, and the episode wisely shifts from emotional damage to hard reality. He immediately starts asking about diet, notices the sodas, and starts cutting through the nonsense. Amy repeats one of the most insane things said in the entire episode, that she was told diet soda cancels out sugar. The doctor is the first person in the episode who speaks to them like the situation is exactly what it is, life-threatening. And that's important, because episode 1 spends most of its runtime showing how thoroughly everyone in this family has adapted to dysfunction. The doctor is the first person who doesn't adapt to it. He treats it like an emergency, which it is. The episode ends with one final reality check, when Amy and Tammy go to a junkyard to weigh themselves because standard scales literally cannot measure them. And if episode 1 needed one final image to explain what kind of show this really is, that would be the one. Amy weighs in at just over 400 pounds and looks devastated. Tammy comes in over 600. Amy looks shocked. Tammy strangely does not. And that may be the clearest character beat in the entire episode.
Is it possible that the scale could be off?
Absolutely not. Our scales are state regulated.
Amy is still horrified by what her life has become. Tammy is already used to it.
400 pounds.
It makes me feel obese, like Tammy, just like I was afraid I would. When I see my weight, I feel like that truck right there.
And that is the real point of episode 1. Not that Amy and Tammy are both dangerously overweight. Not that they need surgery. Not even that they are unhappy. It's that episode 1 introduces two sisters trapped in the same body problem, but only one of them still seems emotionally shocked enough to change.
I want to give up. I can't. I'm just done with it.